Everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more coding tutorials. We are on day 9 of our 30-day pattern challenge. And today's pattern is all about printing a downward facing right angle triangle where each row has sequential numbers. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. So if we see in the VS Code, here the question is already mentioned. So what is the question? We have to write a JavaScript function that prints a downward facing right angle triangle, right? And here is the output which we have to generate, okay? So what we are going to do, first of all, we are going to break our question, okay? So here the important line is what? JavaScript function. So that I will take it and I'm going to put it over here. After that, what is the next important line? That we have to print a downward facing right angle triangle. So that also I will take and I'm going to put it over here. Now let us come at line number 8 and we are going to define our function name. So we will write here our function name as what? Print pattern, and I will write here what? Parenthesis. So this will be our function name, okay? Now we will come down and we are going to write our approach. So we will be writing our approach to get this particular output. So I will just write here what? Approach, okay? Now what we are going to do first here, we are going to create an str variable, right? So I will just write here what? Create an str variable. And why we have to create this? Because this is going to hold our final output, right? So I will just write it over here, okay? Now let us come down and what we will do, we are going to declare it. So I will write here what? Let str is equal to empty quotes. That means I am going to initialize with an empty string, okay? Now in this question, we are going to use what? Nested loops as well. So I will just write here what? Nested loop. Okay. Now what do you mean by nested loop? Nested loop means what? Loop inside and loop. So that also I will just write it over here. And in this question, we are going to use only two loops. So I will just write here what? Outer loop, and we are going to use here what? Our inner loop, right? Now what does outer loop is going to do? Our outer loop is going to control our n number of rows, right? So I will just write it over here. And what is our inner loop going to do? Our inner loop is going to control our n number of columns, okay? So that is what I am writing it over here. Now with this, what we are going to assume that our outer loop will be what? Our I loop, okay? And what will be our inner loop? It will be nothing but our j loop. So that also I am writing it over here. Now we will come here to the pattern now and we will see how many rows and columns we have here, okay? So let us take this pattern and I am just going to put it down now, okay? So let us take a note of it here and now we will see how many rows we have. So if we see, this is our first row, right? After that, what do we have here? This is our second row. So I'm just writing it over here. Now what is this? This is our third row, correct? And lastly, we have here what? Last, that is fourth row. So here, how many rows we have? We have total 4 rows, right? And the rows are being controlled by which loop? It is being controlled by I loop. So that also I am just going to write it over here for all the 4 rows, okay? After that, now let us come here and we are going to analyze our columns also, okay? So let us come here and let us see here how many columns we have. So if we see, this is our first column, right? After that, if we see, this is our second column, right? After that, this is what? This is our third column, right? And after that, what is this? This is our last column. So we can see here clearly that how many columns we have here. We have 4 columns and we have 4 rows, right? Now, let us come here to our output and see what has been printed here and how many times our inner loop has to be run, okay? So if we see here, what here is getting printed here, 1, 2, 3, 4 is getting printed, right? That means whatever we have here, it is printing if we count 4 values here, right? So I will just write here what? It is printing what? 4 values. After that, what it is printing? It is printing here 3 values, right? So that is what I will write it over here as well. After that, how many values it is printing? It is printing 2 values, okay? So that also I am writing it here. It is printing 2 values, okay? After that, how many values it is printing? It is printing just the 1 value, right? So that also, let me just write here, print 1 value, okay? So I'll just write it here like this. Now we can see here very clearly that if we check our I loop, it is starting from 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what we are printing here 4 values, 3 values, 2 values, and lastly 1 value. So what if we reverse our I loop here? So instead of starting our I loop at 1, we are going to start here our I loop at 4 in a reverse order. Okay, so 4, 3, 2, and 1. And if you see here, even if we start from 4, we are reversing it up 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you count here, still we have how many rows? We have only 4 rows here. Okay. Now, why we are starting at 4? Now, let us take a look at our J loop. Our J loop is going to start from 1. And if we run till I, that means till 4. So, first time it will run how many times? 4 times. And it is going to print how many values? Then 4 values, okay? After that, if our J loop is starting from 1 and it is ending at I, that means it will start from 1 and end at 3. That means it is going to run 3 times and it can help us to print 3 values here. Similarly, when our J loop is starting from 1 and our I value is 2, it is going to run 2 times and it can print how many values? 2 values. And lastly, our J loop is going to start at 1 and it is going to end at only 1. So therefore, it will run only 1 time and it is going to print here what? 1 value. Okay. Now, what are these values here? It is nothing but your J values. If you see 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first time. After that 1, 2, 3, that is your second time. After that 1 and 2, that is your third time. That means third iteration. After that, lastly, our last iteration, that is our 1. So it is printing what? It is printing nothing but our J values only, right? So I will just write, it is going to print 4 values of J, okay? So that is what it is going to print at each of the case. So here it is going to print 4 values of J. Here it is going to print 3 values of J. Here it is going to print 2 values of J and here it is going to print 1 value of J. That will be in which order? Sequential order it is going to print because it is going to start from 1, 2, 3. That is why we say in a sequential order. Okay. So that is what we are going to do here. Okay. Now let us come down and we are going to analyze where these loops are going to start and end. Okay. So I will just write here what? Our I loop and we are going to write here what? Our J loop also. Let us come here and we will write here what? Start, and I am going to write here what? End. And even the same I am going to write it for our J loop also. Okay. So I will just write here our start and end for both of them. Okay. Now let us see here. Our I loop is going to start from where? 4, right? So I will just write here what? Start hyphen 4. And we know the maximum row, that means the maximum value of the row, we store it in which variable? N, right? So I will write here what? N is equal to 4. And where it is going to end? It is going to end at our 1, right? So that is what I will write it over here. Now what about our J loop? Our J loop is going to start from 1, right? So I will just write here what? 1, okay? And now where it is going to end? It is going to end at our I, okay? So that is what I am writing it over here, okay? Now let us see inside our for loop how we are going to write it. So I am going to write here what? Our I is equal to what? 4. That means our N I will write it here. And then till where it is going to run? It is going to run till 1. So I greater than or is equal to, I am going to write here what? 1. Okay. And I am going to decrement it here. Why decrementing? Because if you see 4, 3, 2, and 1. So therefore, we need here what? Decrement. Okay. Now let us come here for our J loop. What we are going to write? So we will write here what? J is equal to 1. And here we are going to write J is less than or is equal to our I. And then we will write here what? J plus plus. So this is what we are going to write it. Now let us go to our for loop structure and see how we are going to do that. So I will write here what? For. Then I will write here what? Let I is equal to what? Our n, right? That means our 4, okay? And now I will be greater than or is equal to 1, correct? And then we will have here what? I minus minus, okay? Inside this, now we are going to write here what? Our J loop, that means our inner loop. So I will write here for. Let J is equal to 1, and where it is going to end? It is going to end at our I. So J less than or is equal to I, and I will write here what? J plus plus, okay? Now inside this internal loop, what we are going to do? We are going to concatenate the J value, right? Because it is going to print what? J values, right? So we are going to concatenate our J values to the str variable. So that is what I am writing it here. Concatenating to our str, our J values, okay? So let me just write it over here. And we will write here what? Str plus is equal to our J, correct? That is what we are going to write. And after our this loop ends, what we are going to do? We are going to take our cursor to the next line. So I will write here what? Str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n. So this is what we are going to do, right? And once our for loop is completed, that means execution is done and it is terminated. Finally, we are going to print what? Our str variable, right? So that is what I am writing it over here, okay? Now, since we have understood here the pattern also, the how it is going to print also, here we have understood what will be the start and end also, and here we have seen what will be the structure of it, right? So now let us come down and we will understand the working of it. So I will just write here what? Working, okay? Now let us see what will be the working here. So if we see here what it is there, I is equal to n, I greater than or is equal to 1, and I minus minus, right? So let us come here and we are just going to put it over here. After that, we are going to substitute the values, okay? So I will write here what? I is equal to 4, right? And here it will be what? 4 greater than or is equal to 1. So in this case, 4 is greater than 1, right? So therefore, this condition is going to be true. And here now J loop is going to start our execution, right? So I will take this J is equal to 1, J less than or is equal to I, and we are just going to put it over here, okay? And we will substitute the value. So here I am going to write 1 because J is 1, and here it will be 4, right? Now we are going to test the condition, okay? So if you check here, 1 is less than 4, right? Therefore, this condition turns out to be true. And here we are going to print what? Our J value. That means here we will print what? 1, okay? After that, J value is going to increase, right? Because we have here what? Increment operator. So J will become 2 and the condition will become what? 2 is less than or is equal to 4. And if we test it here, again it is going to be true. And here it is going to print our J value. Therefore, it will print what? 2, okay? After that, again it is going to increment. So we will have here what? J is equal to 3. 3 is less than or is equal to 4. So if we test this condition again, 3 is less than 4 or not? Yes, it is less. So again, here we are going to get true, and here we will print what? Our J value. That means our 3, right? After that, again, it is going to increment. So J is equal to 4, and here we will have what? 4 less than or is equal to 4. Now, if we test the condition, it is true, right? So therefore, here, again, we are going to print what? Here, we are going to print our J value, that is nothing but 4. Now, why we are printing? Because 4 is not less than 4, but it is equal to 4, right? Therefore, we are printing this, right? Now, after that, what will happen? our j value is again going to increment, right? So it will happen what? J is equal to 5, and here we will have 5 less than or is equal to 4. Now, if we test the condition, this is what? False, right? And therefore, here itself, our j loop is going to terminate. And finally, in our str variable, what we are going to have? We are going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Now, if we see the same above, we are going to get the same thing, okay? So let us see here above. So if we check the pattern here in the first row, we are getting what? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is what we are getting here also, right? After this, what will happen to our I value? I value is going to decrement, right? So from 4, it will become what? 3, right? So I'm just going to write it here, what? I is equal to 3, and here we are going to write 3 greater than or is equal to 1. So if we see here, 3 is greater than 1, right? Therefore, it is going to be true and it is going to start our J loop execution, right? So I will just take this and we are just going to put it over here now, okay? And we will substitute the values. So what is our J value? It is nothing but 1. What is our I value? It is nothing but 3, right? And now we are going to test our condition. So 1 is less than or is equal to 3. Yes, it is true, right? Because 1 is less. So we are going to get here what? True. And we are going to get here what value? Our J value. That means our 1. After that, what will happen to our J value? It is going to increment, right? So J is equal to 2 and we will have here what? 2 less than or is equal to 3. So 2 is less than 3, right? So here we are going to get true and we are going to print here what? Our J value. That is nothing but our 2, right? After that, what will happen to our J value? Again, it is going to increment. So we will have here what? 3 and here we will have what? 3, right? So 3 is less than or is equal to 3. So if we test the condition, 3 is not less, but it is equals, right? So therefore here it will be what? True. And we are going to print here what? Our J value. That means 3, right? After that, what will happen? Our J value is going to again increment, right? So J is equal to 4. 4 is less than or is equal to 3. Now, if we test here the condition, it is going to be what? False. And therefore, here our J loop is going to now what? It is going to terminate. So, I will just write here what? Terminate, okay? After that, what we will have in our str variable now? So, our str variable is going to hold what? 1, 2, and 3, okay? So if we go above in our pattern and if we see our second row, it is nothing but what? 1, 2, and 3. That is what exactly we have got, okay? Now after that, what it is going to happen? Our I value is going to decrement, right? So it will become what? 2, right? So we will write here what? 2 greater than or is equal to 1. If we test the condition, it is going to be what? True, right? So that is why our J loop execution will start. And we will take this and we are going to put it over here and we will substitute the values, okay? So J is equal to 1. So therefore here 1 it will come. And what is our I value? 2, right? Now if you test the condition 1 is less than or is equal to 2, then here what we are going to get? We are going to get here true, right? Because 1 is less than 2. And therefore, here what it is going to print? It is going to print our J value. That is nothing but our 1. After that, what will happen? Our J value is going to again increase. So we will have here what? J is equal to 2 now and 2 is less than or is equal to 2. 2 is not less but 2 is equal to 2, right? Therefore here the condition turns out to be true and we will have here what? 2 printed, correct? So therefore it is going to print here our J value, that is nothing but 2. Okay, now after that what it is going to happen? Our J value is again going to increment. So it will become here what? 3. And here we will have 3 less than or is equal to 2. So now what it is going to be? The condition turns out to be false because 3 is not less than 2, right? So we will write here what? False. And since the condition turns out to be false, so our loop is going to be terminated here. So we will write here what? Terminate. And in our str variable, it is going to hold what? It is going to hold here 1 and 2. 2. Okay. Now, if you go above and if you check here, we will have here 1 and 2 in the third iteration. That is what it is going to have here. Okay. Now, we will come here and we are going to decrement our I value again, right? So it will become what? 1, right? So we will just take here and we are just going to update here as what? I is equal to 1. And here we will have 1 is greater than or is equal to 1. Now 1 is not greater than 1, but it is equal to 1, right? Therefore, the condition turns out to be true. And it is going to start execution of our J loop, okay? So we will take this and we are just going to put it over here and we are going to substitute the values now. J is 1, so I will write here 1 and I is also 1, so I will write here 1. Now, if we test the condition, 1 is less than 1, no, but it is equal to 1. Therefore, here we are going to write here what? True. And here our value is going to be printed as what? 1. That is nothing but our J value, okay? After that, what will happen? Our J value is again going to increase. So we will write here what? J is equal to 2. Now 2 is less than or is equal to 1. So if you test the condition here, it turns out to be false because 2 is not less than 1, right? Neither it is equal to 1. So therefore, here the condition turns out to be false and our loop is going to terminate here, okay? And therefore, in our str variable, finally what we will have, we are going to have here just 1, okay? So we are concatenating this values to our str, okay? So therefore, if you see in the last row, that means in the last iteration, we have here what? Just 1, okay? That is what we have got. Now, once everything is done and our loop execution is completed, we are going to print our str value. But we have to see our I loop termination also, right? So let us see that. Now, after this, what will happen? Our I loop, that means our I value is going to decrement one more time. So let us see what we will have here, okay? So I will write here what? I is equal to 0 and here we will have 0 greater than or is equal to 1 and I minus minus. Now if you see here, is 0 greater than 1? No, right? 0 is equal to 1? No. Therefore, our I loop execution will stop here. Why? Because this condition turns out to be false, okay? So I will write here what? It is going to terminate and this will be end of our loops, okay? So I will just write here what? End of loops, okay? And as I said, once execution is done, loops are terminated, we are going to print our str variable, okay? That is what we have done here, okay? Now, the same thing, we are going to do it inside our function, okay? So let us come here and we are going to proceed with our function. So before proceeding with the function, we are just going to open our terminal here. So I will just open a terminal and we will just take it little to the right, okay? Let us come down and we will write here what? Our function, and our function name will be what? printPattern, correct? Parenthesis we will write here, flower braces, and we are just going to invoke it. So I will write here what? printPattern, and to this we are going to pass 4 as an argument, okay? Let us receive that here as an n in parameter, okay? And we are just going to console it out. So I will write here what? console.log of n, okay? Now let us come here and we are just going to run it. So I will write here what? node09 pattern.js. And if we see, we are getting here what? 4. That means whatever we are passing here, it is able to receive and able to print here, okay? After that, now let us create here an str variable and initialize with an empty quotes, okay? After that, what we are going to do? We are going to write our nested loop, okay? So I will write here what? For let I is equal to our n and I should be greater than or is equal to 1 and it will be what? I minus minus, correct? Then we will write here what? Flower braces, then our inner loop, that means our J loop, right? So I will write here what? For let J is equal to 1. J is less than or is equal to I because it should run till I, right? And then J plus plus, correct? Now we will write here what? Flower braces. Now inside this, first we will see the execution, okay? So let us see that, okay? So we will just write here what? console.log, okay? Parenthesis, double quotes, I hyphen we will put, comma, then I will just print here our I value, then J hyphen I will write in the double quotes, and we will print our J values also. Okay. Now let us see what we are getting here. So I will just run here what node 09 pattern.js. And if we see here, when I is equal to 4, J loop is running 4 times. Okay. So we can come here and we can see that it is running 4 times, and we have to print here what? Our J values, right? That is what we are getting it here also, right? Now, when I becomes 3, it is running how many times? It is running 3 times, correct? So that is what we are getting here. And what we have to print? We have to print our J values, okay? After that, when I becomes 2, J loop is going to run 2 times, right? That is what we are getting here, and it is printing here what? Our J values, okay? After that, when I becomes 1, how many times it is running? It is just running 1 time, right? And that is what we have got here also. Now here if we see, we are not getting here I is equal to 0 and anything here. Why? Because the termination of loop is happening at I is equal to 0, because the condition is failing here, right? So therefore, we are getting the proper execution done here also. So we have got this entirely. Now we will just comment this out, and now we are going to concatenate our J value to our str variable, okay? So I will write here what? Str plus is equal to J, and after this loop is ending, I am just going to console our str variable, okay? So I will write here what? Console.log of str, okay? Now let us clear the terminal, and I will write here what? Node 09 pattern.js. And if you see, we are getting here what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and lastly 1. But it is in a single line. It is not going in the next line, right? After each iteration. So for that, once this loop is completed, or we can say the termination is happening, we have to concatenate here what? Str plus is equal to double quotes of backward slash of n. Okay. Now with this, it is going to take our cursor to our next line also. Now we will write here what? Node 09 pattern.js. Now, if we test, we are getting our exact output, but within one more additional line, we can say, or an empty line or an empty space, okay? So for that, what we can do here at line number 66, we can just use our trim method, right? We have been using this, so we know what this trim method is going to do, right? This trim method is going to remove the spaces, right? So that is what it is doing it. Now let us test that now. So we will come here and we are going to write here what? Node 09 pattern.js. And if we see here, the space has been removed. That means here we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1. There is no additional space, right? So therefore we are able to get it. Now let us just comment our line number 56 here, and let us clear the terminal and rerun it one more time. So I'll just clear it, and I will write here what? Node 09 pattern.js. And if we see, we are getting our desired output, right? Let us go above and test it with our output. So if we see, we are getting here exactly the same output which we wanted, right? Now let us have a quick recap of this particular question, okay? So what it was been asked, we have to write a JavaScript function that prints a downward facing right angle triangle, right? And here was the output given to us, right? After that, what we did, we came down and we wrote here the important part of this particular question, right? So we wrote here what? Our JavaScript function, and we kept the name as what? printPattern, right? And we wrote here what? Prints a downward facing right angle triangle, right? Then we came down, and to generate this particular output, we wrote our approach. So we wrote here what? We created an str variable which is going to hold our final output, right? Then we declared a variable and we initialized with what? Empty quotes, right? Then we used here what? Our nested loop, wherein we will have here our outer loop and inner loop, and it is going to be what? Our I loop and our J loop, right? So after that, what we did here, we understood here how many rows we have, how many columns we have, right? And after that, what we did, we came here and we wrote here what will be the start point, what will be the end point, right? And then we wrote our for loop structure. And once the execution is done, we are going to print our final variable, right? That is our str, right? Then we came down and we understood the working that what it is going to be when I is equal to 4, when I is equal to 3, and then 2 and then 1. And when I becomes 0, it is going to terminate our I loop, right? And here our J loop is going to run till our I, and it is going to terminate if it is going to be false, right? That means our condition is going to be false, correct? That is what we did. And when the termination is going to happen, we are just going to print our str variable, right? Then we came down and we wrote the same thing inside our function, and we defined here function name as what? Print pattern, right? We were passing here n as in parameter, correct? Then we console this n to test the value of n, right? Then after that, we declared here variable and we initialized with an empty string, correct? After that, we wrote our for loop, that means our nested loop, and we understood here the execution one more time, right? And after that, what we did inside this str variable, we stored our j value, correct? So we kept concatenating our j value inside our str variable to get the desired output, right? And once our internal loop execution is completed, every time we have to take our cursor to the next line. For that, we concatenated here our next line. That means double quotes of backward slash of n, right? That is what we did. So once our entire for loop execution is completed, we will come down and we are going to print here what? Our str variable, correct? And we used here our trim method. Why we used? Because we were getting an additional line, right? An empty space, I would say. So for that, we added here what? Our trim method, and we got our desired output, right? Then at line number 68, we just invoked our function name and we were passing here 4 as an argument, okay? Now just let us test it one more time. So I will just open one more time our terminal here, and we are going to write here what? Node, our file name, that is 09pattern.js, okay? And if we hit enter, we are getting here what? Our desired output, correct? So this is what it was being expected, and we have got here the same thing, okay? So guys, what I want from y'all is try experimenting with different values of n and let me know your results in the comments, okay? And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more programming tutorials, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, keep coding, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.